Well, hi. Cheers to you, my friends. Here it is, another beautiful day in the wilds of Minnesota. I've made the mistake of leaving the door open. So all the animals are here. My dog has crawled himself underneath the camera tripod, and the cat is just a tail floating through the lower half of the screen. Welcome back to Librophiliac Knits. I am here with you on a beautiful May day, wearing a very bright lipstick and still needing a little help with my the blush game. Blush was something that we avoided like the plague in the 90s because it was such an 80s thing. The intense stripe. And now you're supposed to have these cute pink cheeks, and I just haven't sorted it out. It does look like I'm trying. And it didn't go whatever. Lolita and Django are here with us. And what am I here to talk to you about today? Well, things have gone completely off the rails, as they tend to do when I am inspired or make plans with my friends or win at bingo.
He used to get hurt by all the girls. They try his world for just a season.
So where do we begin? Well, usually we start with, what am I wearing today? And the answer is my very own, very first ranunculus. Hello. Let's see, let's stand. Let's get a little closer to the camera. I haven't blocked it yet, so the lace is going to be even more airy and amazing. The ranunculus sweater is a multi-gauge pattern written by Midori Hirose. I had to guess on how to say her name. I do not speak Japanese. Bear with me. A pattern that I bought ages and ages ago and has been top of the list, popular in Ravelry for close to a decade, it feels like. Just forever and a day. Sorry if I'm scratching on the old microphone. I put it on before I realized that I needed to wear something that I knit, because I finished this. I finished this in like 2 weeks. I was motivated. Y'all didn't even hear about the cast on yet, and it's done already. I knit this out of Purl Soho's linen quill, which I heard of because of Stress Knits. She loves this stuff. And I was like, cool, I want to try it. And then I would go online and I would look at the things, and I would remember that one time that I tried to order from KnitPicks, and I bought hundreds of dollars of yarn, and some of it is still sitting in my stash. We'll talk about that in a minute. And so what I did was I kept holding off on purchasing the linen quill, even though I was very interested in trying it, and she had nothing but great things to say about it, and apparently it is her favorite thing. Oh, was I all the way off the screen? Was that? Here is the leftover of the ball, the second ball that I started. I'm not sure. The first, whoops, over here. Hi. This black color is called like kettle or cast iron or something to that effect. But as you can see, it is a blend of linen and wool and alpaca. Fingering weight, almost lace weight. Very soft, very airy. Very appropriate for my summer knitting, which I didn't think I was going to get into quite so obsessively, but here we are. So what was I saying? I was saying that Stacy from Stress Knits loves linen quilt, and she especially loves to make the half and half triangles wrap, which, know thyself, knitter, I decided was not really my bag, but I really wanted to try this yarn. And what ended up happening was I found a bag of it. Somebody else had kindly bought and used some and then gave the rest of it to the Knitters Guild. Sorry, Moss Pet Cat. She has arrived. Here, let's see if we can. There she is. Somebody had very kindly used and then discarded some black, some gray, and 2 different colors of creamy neutral at the Knitters Guild garage sale that Wax took me to a couple of years ago. And so I've been sitting on this waiting for the perfect pattern and finally realized, why wouldn't I just cast on a black ranunculus? Why wouldn't I? A black shirt is ubiquitous in my wardrobe. I live in either really obnoxious brights or really neutral colors. And now I have this much left of the black. I still have the gray. I still have the 2 different kinds of white. So a stripy option, another t-shirt, could do it all day long. Fantastic. So that's what I'm wearing. And it's also my one major finished object that I knit entirely. And since you saw me last, why am I standing up? Because I want to sit down on this pillow instead. There. My glasses are so cute, but you don't really need to see them on the top of my head. I never know where to point the camera. Do you ever have this problem? No? It's because you're not filming in this foolish way. I love having this as my background, except for proof of my shame. Shame! I must rewarp and continue in my original weaving project. Every time I sit down and I point the camera over here, I'm like, oh, there it is again. And then I promptly forget about it and do nothing for however long it is until I sit down again. So let's see, what else is happening? Hi, how are you? I have come to talk to you about what I am making, all of the crazy shenanigans I've been up to since last we spoke. As you can probably tell from the state of my hair, it's been a minute. The purple just fades so fast. Look, I'm like blonde again up here. That's not the mission, or brunette, or silver foxy. Can women be silver foxes? I don't even know how that works. Okay. So what's happening? This is my one major finished object, I believe, since last we spoke. I showed you the socks that I made that are the twins of Waxes, so that we have buddy socks forever and ever, amen. Till she wears a hole in them or decides that she doesn't like them and gives them to someone else. I know. It's okay. This, I guess, sort of counts as a finished object. So I have other crafty friends in the land of roller derby, you might be shocked to discover. And one of them asked me to teach her how to spin. And while we were making plans for spinning, we also decided that we would get together and do some dyeing, which was not on my bingo card for this year at all, but look what happened. All of these are ancient knit picks, oldest stash knit picks. This was white. This was white. I still have lots and lots more white. These, oh, this was white also. Look at this one. It's ridiculous. I was trying for speckles, but first I got a little crazy with the yellow. So we've got some like egg noodles with hot sauce, with spices. These, all of these were, oh, and one more. Where's the other one? Uno más. These were all originally my Thai heather. I had more than one sweater quantity, probably closer to 2 sweater quantities of yarn of this sport weight wool of the Andes, my Thai heather, which is kind of a, this is the original color. Perhaps you can see I did not dye all of it, and she did send me home with a tiny bit more of this. There's just a tiny bit more of this acid dye. I'm gonna have to buy Costco quantities of what do you call it? Vinegar again, which I needed anyway before I get going on any more dyeing. But these, I mean, you can kind of see the batches that things were dyed in. I was messing around with these two. These were the first attempt. One long, one short. These were the second attempt. My favorite, probably, of all of them, although both of these are good. I don't know if I'll do anything with these together or keep them separated. Don't start singing that song. And these were, this one, I was trying to suck up the last of the blue. Actually, what happened is I got some of the blue, I was sprinkling, and I got some of the blue on my glove, and then I touched. And then I was like, well, I guess I'll just wipe it off the rest of the way. And then it looked awful with the orange, so put it in and added some red. And then there was a little more red and a little more red and a little bit of blue. And these will be fine as like a contrast color or something. But anyway, lots of fun was had in a dye studio. No, in somebody's kitchen, really. My friend Cha-Cha also came along, and I prepped some wool thinking that I would use it to teach Birdie how to spin, and instead it also got dyed. She was not interested in playing with this. So, you know, the dye really makes it look better than it did before. It was still kind of dirty. It was a yellowy sort of wool, not looking the cleanest despite my best efforts, and dyeing it really elevated it to interesting bird's egg. This will be really fun to spin, I think. It should make a pretty soft woolen spun sort of yarn. Is there anything else over there I wanted to show you? I don't think so. So that is the other exciting new project I wasn't even aware was going to be on my radar. And then, speaking of my favorite color, thanks to my lovely child and getting very frustrated, I finally decided that the best way forward with my Stephen West mystery knit along was to give up. I could not frog this thing with all these little stripes of color. No way, Jose. But this, boy. This was step 3, and I messed it up pretty badly. I don't know if you can see. On a couple of occasions. And I was not looking forward to trying to finish side 1, let alone do side 2 at all. Just didn't like it. And I was really looking forward to step 4, but I realized that step 3 was such a stumbling block that I was ready to just give it up. But because it's just these dinky little stripes over and over and over again, I didn't want to frog it. I couldn't figure out what I would do with it. And so what I ended up doing was just the whole second side over here was still on a needle. So I did an I-cord bind off all the way up this edge, and then I 3 needle bound off what I could between these 2 parts, and then a little bit more I-cord or whatever to like finish it off so that I have a cowl loosely based on, no, I mean closely at first, and then later deeply inspired by the West Knits Mystery Knit Along Geo Gradient, I believe this one was called. It was the 2023 Mystery Knit Along, and I was really enjoying it until I wasn't. I'm still sort of regretting. I have terrible FOMO about not participating in 2024s, and I'm on the fence about whether or not I will bother with 2025. And it's too warm for me to keep this on. Sorry if I'm rustling. I'm just so happy to be done with it. Really letting it go, not frogging it, but also not having it as a lingering whip that is hanging over my head, impossible to finish. I am so glad to just be done with it. And as it turns out, lately, my winter go-to is cowls. So I will wear this. I have already worn this. I wore it when it was still a little chilly out the other day with a cute red leather jacket. And that looked stunning, if I do say so myself. So that was a very pleasant end to that particular project. So, works in progress. What have I been working on lately? Well, obviously, I made this whole thing. That one was a big work in progress. It's been going great. I'm very happy with it. While I was teaching Birdie to spin, I was also getting a lot more of my own spinning done. I don't know if you remember this, the BFL project. I've been looking on the internet for things to make with this yarn. I think I have an idea, but do I remember what the name of it is off the top of my head? No, I do not. Prepping more of this wool was part of that project. Like the necessary, and actually I should run this back through the carder one more time. I was running out of time before I ran to Birdie's and didn't. I packed up my fancy new bag from Thread and Maple and took it along to work, and then was too chicken to open it up and use it. But I did get some spinning done at a birthday party and on some other occasions. So I am this far along with the beautiful alpaca wool from Canada that Wax brought me. And I have enough left that I think I can basically do a third ply. And then that will be soft and delicious to put all together. What else is going on? Did I show you this the last time? I did finally ply up the sparkly stuff and the stuff that I had made for myself from Wax and from my own previous stash. Look how pretty that is. The sparkly stuff has alpaca or Angora. See the description box below for more information. Obviously, this is a color I really enjoy, so making even something small and cute out of this would be very appropriate. I was going to show you some cool Rolags that I made, and hopefully I showed you last time, using some of this orange and some of this yellow Parendel that I bought last year. And this is from that crazy mystery grab bag, also from last year. Shepherd's Harvest Festival is coming up quick. It's on Mother's Day weekend. And I used those and some white, and I made Rolags, and I used that to teach Birdie how to spin because it's fairly self-contained when it comes to figuring out how to control the wool in order to spin. Unfortunately, my skills as a wool preparer and Rolag maker are still somewhat lacking, and so they are very different consistencies. I don't know if you could tell from looking at them, the orange versus the yellow. And so you get kind of drips and drabs of one and then the other, which I don't mind in my spinning, but they were frustrating birdies, so I felt kind of bad. It's just kind of how it goes sometimes. Why do I keep hitting my thighs? What did I want to show you works in progress wise? Because that was another finished object, sort of, wasn't it? The spinning. I have cast on another sock. Da, 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 da. And I think at the end of this orange, oh, look, it is the end of this orange. I think at the end of this orange, I was telling myself it was time to probably start the heel. And I think I am going to continue with the contrast orange for the heel. And so the toes and the heels are matchy-matchy. And I have a little bit more of this. I'm not sure about the cuff. I might use a different color for the cuff. That might be fun. If anyone can identify this yarn, I assume it is Knit Picks. I am happy to be corrected. This is some deep stash leftovers from honey and spice? Honey. The word honey is in the yarn dyer's name. I bought a specialty fade from orange to blue to make my best friend Katie, best friend from college, besides Jackie. Everybody's my best friend, right? You're my best friend. Did you know? I made Katie an enormous shawl, which she now has no use for because she's moved to Florida. Maybe she can use it as her reading lap blanket in all of the lovely air conditioning. Because otherwise, I don't know when she'll ever use it for anything. But anyway, I started more socks. We are at a heel turn, which is kind of always where I stall out. This is the part where I show you that I've cheated a little bit. This is my gauge swatch for the Minou Cardigan. I don't know if you can see it. Can you see it? It's the same base color. Wandering Flock Cosmic Tie-Dye. Look at those colors. Here it is still scanned up. This was a treat yourself purchase in 2021. Cosmic tie-dye. 100% superwash merino. It is a single ply yarn, which is not usually my bag, but too good to pass up. She's very good at the dyeing, this Wandering Flock lady. And dyed in Brooklyn, New York. I bought myself a sweater quantity of this and I sat on it for 4 years. And I'm finally making something. But here's where we're at. I am doing some impromptu intarsia to figure out if I liked it better held double with white or with mint. I just dropped. And I think in the meantime, because I only bought one skein of each of those, when I looked at it, the yarn store didn't have full sweater quantities of both of these colors anymore. So that might make my decision for me. But also, I thought it was going to make a big difference. It doesn't. It's not obvious. This is a little bit darker. This is the minty side. This is the white side. This just looks like it has more of a glow. I was leaning in the direction of the white, but I think they ran out of the white. So now the mint might win by default. And while I was looking at these and looking at this, I was starting to wonder, oops, not that one. I was looking at this and this. I was starting to wonder if maybe lavender might not be the better part of valor. If they have a lavender fluff, I'm going to have a lavender. And then I was having an interesting problem because I started out, just knitting a little bit of garter and then a little bit of stockinette. And then I tried to switch into half fisherman rib. half fisherman's rib, which is what this is knit out of. But there are two different methods of doing this. And I previously had only ever done the variety of half fisherman's rib where you knit into the stitch below and then purl, and then knit into the stitch below and then purl. The other variety of this, it starts on the other side of the work. So on the front side is when you would knit, purl, and on the back side, when it's knit flat, you knit all the way across when you are doing it that first way that I learned. However, the author of this pattern, whose name I have to include in the description box below, because it's a little Louisa Retzkoff, something like that. I don't know. She is doing it a different way, which is much more like brioche, and it starts on the wrong side with knit one, and then like slip one purlwise with the yarn over. And then the other side, it's knit, purl, where you're like knitting one with the slip stitch at the same time. So like a bark in brioche, you know what I mean? Where you just knit the stitch with its yarn over shawl, as Stephen West likes to call it. And so in attempting to try first one and then the other, I kind of messed things up. So I don't even know. I have to keep going. I'm getting frustrated with how long now this swatch is taking, even though this is not much of a swatch guide, but this is about what my swatches often look like. I usually only get an inch or two in before I give up, because row gauge is not my mission as much as stitch gauge, especially because most of the time I knit top down and just try it on and do what works for me, because my torso is longer than most people's. And you know, one of my favorite designers is Andrea Maury, who admittedly has a tiny little torso. And so she and I have to do very different things to make sweaters fit us in the same way. And it's one of the reasons why I'm trying other people's patterns for a little while. It's just to, you know, remind myself that there are other ways of doing things, and I enjoy the struggle of learning new stuff, which is where I'm at right now. It's a struggle. Struggle. Oh my God. Okay. What? So I cheated. I crossed off the square for this on my bingo card, because technically I could measure gauge from this, but I'm not done yet. I plan to keep going, because I want it to look somewhat like the thing I am trying to make before I give up. And so that I can measure gauge appropriately. And I don't have the rest of my sweater quantity of this, but I just spent a whole bunch of money on yarn that I shouldn't have, because I cheated and I said that I have completed this square when this gauge swatch is not done yet. But I was getting nervous. You know, and the funny thing is, the reason I was getting nervous is because of this. So I bought myself this with the intention of getting the other color. This is the chocolate leather color. It is beautiful. I have no problems with it. It is already starting to show some interesting like scratch marks and wear and tear, and it's going to get beat up and be gorgeous, and I'm excited about it. And I put it in my backpack to go to work with me, and it was fine. I'm sort of regretting spending the extra $20+ on this, because immediately after I had purchased this for maximum money, I saw some really cute red straps just by themselves at the thrift store for like $5. But no matter what my decision was, I would have regretted it. It's just one of those. If I had not gotten this, I would have been like, dang it, I wanted that. And if I had gotten it, then dang it, I wanted to not have that. But it's just the nature of my brain. And I'm okay with it. While the spinning bag was sitting in my cart, ready to check out, they ran out of the color I wanted. And so while I was playing bingo with myself, I was starting to get nervous that the same thing would happen at Darn It Anyway, which is a local yarn shop here in Minnesota, in the adorable little tourist trap town of Stillwater. And I got so paranoid that I decided that it was close enough. I X'd out my box. I'm going to make you a visual so that you can see where we're at right now. But I made a ranunculus. I finished it. It's done. It did not specify in the box. It said ranunculus. Did it mean cast on? Did it mean finish? I didn't specify. I think maybe I even went to the store before I had finished it. But I have finished it now, other than the blocking. I blocked something, which was I blocked two things. My Reluctant Homeschooler sweater by Caitlin Hunter, and my Traveler hoodie by Andrea Mowry. So I checked that box off. I did not purchase, even though I am obsessed with the latest two patterns that have come out from Andrea Mowry. The DRK Everyday Cardigan. Oh, cute. And that's what I want to make with this. Not the DRK Everyday, although this would look amazing, but the very parallel and adorable that I did buy, and Andrea Rangel? No. What is her name? Long story long, what I'm saying is that I rewarded myself with my bingo. I completed a bingo, but I sort of cheated because I did finish this whole thing, but I didn't complete the entire gauge swatch for the Minou Cardigan because I'm still fighting with it about how do I want to do my half fisherman's rib. Because using the new version of it was hard for my brain, and it's a Japanese pattern, so she wants to do everything with just charts, and wrapping my brain around how the charts worked when I immediately messed up because you're supposed to start from the wrong side and I started from the right side, and so everything's backwards. It's a whole cluster. I messed up so many different ways. I should rip the whole thing out. I'm going to rip the whole thing out. It doesn't even matter because I can't use that in my sweater anywhere. I should just actually use it as a swatch with what I have right now and call it good, and then back up and figure out. It's been more of a brain teaser than I expected. Figure out exactly how I do want to make it. Am I going to use the version that I learned originally, or am I going to use the version that the designer is recommending or has used to write the pattern, which makes more sense because otherwise I'm going to have to rewrite the chart, and dear God, I don't want to do that. P.S. It's a fuzzy DK weight sweater, which means summer is starting. There's a high likelihood that I am not going to do jack with that until next fall. I don't need to buy the yarn for it right now. I don't. Anyway, what was my reward for getting a whole bingo card? Bingo on my bingo card? It was originally supposed to be a Westnitz purchase. However, Westnitz is currently in the process of moving. Stephen and Penelope. You know what I mean? Sorry. Originally, the people who turned me on to the existence of this bag was Stephen West. And he has his own yarn line, which I very much want to try, called West Wool, right? Yes. And it just so happens that my timing is atrocious because they're in the process of moving. So what I should do to give him a little nod is buy a pattern or two of his, send him a little $7 or $10 now. Who knows what's going on with the euro right now? But when I went and looked at his store, that this was on his Instagram. So of course they probably sold like hotcakes. I got the redesigned bag. It is freaking enormous and gorgeous, and I just couldn't leave it alone because he, in this video, his Instagram reel, he made every single thing that you've ever imagined fit. Okay, let's see. So like here's a slot for knitting needles or pens. Here is a spot where he put his phone, pocket. So many things could go in that. My wallet would probably live in there. This might just be my purse. Like I've been thinking about carrying this as a purse. Now, reasons that I suddenly regretted spending extra money on this one came with its own strap. Oh, also it opens. Oh my gosh. There was a smaller version of this. One of my girlfriends from work got the smaller version of this and she's using it constantly. So now I better use mine, but it opens on the diagonal. Oops, look what happened. It comes with its own strap. This can be my new all the time forever purse. I don't have to be a rational human being. It's not required. And then what happened? The other part of it was I was going to buy myself one of these bags and one sweater quantity of yarn. But if you go on Stephen and Penelope's website and you, like me, happen to be located in North America, it's 400 euros for free shipping. Which, as it turns out, I totally would have spent. But being in a store is a totally different animal than telling yourself you only get one sweater quantity of yarn. That's not what I did. I am such a hater most of the time when people on the internet, like myself, have all of this insane money that they are spending on things. It's like, do you buy groceries? Yeah, I bought groceries this month. I paid my mortgage. I even paid a little extra on one of my debts so that I could rationalize. That was the guilt choking me. Oh my God. So what happened? What happened was I went there with the express intention of buying this bag, a couple more, one of each in the large and the small, and I ended up trying the swivels, Chaogu long needles. The swivel one is a large 37-inch, and the little one is a small 50-inch. So I can do whatever the heck I want with them. They're in. And then I was going to get one sweater quantity of yarn. But here's what happened. I have two different kinds of ridiculous hot pink fingering weight yarns that I have not been using. And I've been feeling bad about them. So I decided that I would pick up floofy yarn to hold double. And I don't usually tend in the direction of, I prefer alpaca to mohair generally. This one's actually half and half, so we'll see. Hopefully I still love it. It's very soft. I got no problems with it. The color's really fun. It should go very well with the yarn that I have. And by getting 3 of this instead of 1 of the Bien Aimee version, I spent the same amount of money for like 3 times the quantity, if I remember correctly. I can hold this double and knit myself a DK weight sweater, which is one of those things where, like, I always thought people were nuts. Why would you do anything that would dilute the original qualities of the yarn? But then look what just happened with this. This completely disproved my theory. It did not detract from the quality of the original yarn dyeing. It's still very much cosmic tie-dye. Do I want it to lean a little bit green or a little bit white? But for the most part, it's not like very obviously, this is a green sweater. No, it's purple and green and yellow and pink. And exactly the sort of pastel neon thing it was supposed to be in the beginning. So, knowing what I know about myself, which is that I will knit a DK weight sweater in a month, maybe 6 weeks, I purchased something to turn some of my deep stash into an actual garment. I think that is a good use of my money and time and the stuff that I already have. But then this was not on my radar. This was not supposed to happen. This colorway happened to me. It's Felix from Bien Aimee, which I went there to look at their Bien Aimee collection because they do have a great variety of their stuff. And actually, it wasn't this originally that caught my eye. It was the Alex, not the Felix. The Felix is 75% Falkland Merino and 25% Corriedale, and it's so squishy. It's also 650 meters for 100 grams, which is lace weight. What? But here's the deal. I can hold it double. 650. If I hold it double, 650 meters is about a sweater quantity. This is called Flash Fluo. They have a floral morganite color that I've been obsessing about for years. And they had, but somehow adding this little like splash of orange just broke my brain in a way where it could not come home with me. Just, I had to have it. I had to. It's my hair. It's what I want my hair to be doing. So this was an accidental addition to the original project plan. And this also grabbed me by the throat and told me it had to come home with me. And again, this is not my usual MO, but if I end up using the white for the thing that I hold double to make my Minou Cardigan, the mint held double with this, which is Qing Fibre, Layla Qing, designed in London, UK. Shusui is the colorway name. There was a matching lace weight fluffy yarn that I believe was made with mohair, not Suri alpaca. And it was equally as expensive. This is expensive. And instead of having these really intense speckle, do you see what's happening with the speckle situation? That was the thing that I couldn't leave alone. This was before I attempted my own speckling and found out exactly how hard it is to get this to do this. They were super, like on the mohair, they're super diffuse and like big chunks of orange in a way that I didn't want. Look at that yellow. All right. So anyway, I did not get that. I did get this. Shusui, Qing Fibre, Merino. Once again, it's 100% superwash Merino singles. 400 yards in 100 grams, which is 366 meters. That's not even entirely a sweater quantity for me, is it? Unless I make something very loose or very cropped. But it had to come home with me. I'm apparently on a ridiculous neon kick. And I got my bags. I got all the bags that I have been dreaming of. No more purchases of bags can happen for like ever. Oh my gosh, I'm so happy with the ones that I got, and they're so beautiful, and they're made out of long-lasting materials, and they're like handmade and special, and I'm really excited about them, and I have been dreaming of them. Redesigned, the company that makes this bag, I also looked at their website directly. They are Danish, so you know, I fell in love with the Danes while I was visiting their beautiful country with my friend Wax last October. This thing's a beast. It's actually a little bit bigger than I thought it was going to be compared to the one that my friend had at work. She got the littler guy, which she will just use as a regular old project bag. This could just be my work bag. This could just be the thing that I bring my stuff to work in. Like one half of it could be yarn and the other half of it could be snacks. Whoops. You guys, we're not done yet. We're close. We're getting so close. So, why do I start it? I start my writing and my talking with that word all the time. I don't know where it came from. Kobe wanted to know why I talk with my hands, why people talk with their hands. And I was like, I don't know. Why do I talk with my hands? Because otherwise I am just sitting here. Be excited with me. Maybe because I was a raver in a previous part of my life. Put that away. I cast on May the 4th to tell you exactly how far into the past you are. The future? Past. By the time this comes out, the past. On May the 4th. May the 4th be with you. I cast on a tank top. It is the Breeze Racerback Tee tank by Jessie Maid. I am using Il Manisabri, which is a cotton and other stuff blend. I purchased this yarn while I was on vacation in San Diego. So I am using my very specifically sought out souvenir yarn. I got two different colors. I got this kind of oatmeal. It's like a white and cream. And then I just got straight white for the secondary one. So if I run out of this before I get to the top, this is a bottom up tank top. Very light and airy. I did not gauge swatch, and I'm not using the appropriate needles. I'm doing it by feel and just going with it. It's going to be wrong. I don't care. I'm going to block the crap out of it and wear it. Not unlike this bad boy. I will either fade into the white or have a whole second ball to make something else with the white. Either way, very excited. This yarn is everything I had hoped for. I believe it's cotton and alpaca. So it's got so much softness and good drape, which is a great thing for a soft, summery garment. What's the date today? I believe today's May 7th. So I've been obsessively working on this. It just came out of nowhere. The dark horse arrived from nowhere. I also have been doing a little bit of weaving. It is still off screen here. I am still on my third placemat. I believe I have 1 inch of weaving left to go on this one before it is finished. And then it will be on to the 4th. And it looks like I'm already running out of yarn. So something about how I originally warped went wrong. I don't know what I did. And that's why this is the trial run. But I should have enough to at least make one more. And that gets us to 4, which is technically how many people live in the house. And as I mentioned before, I accidentally doubled the amount of warp that I made. So I should be able to just warp this baby up again. Mrs. Yarn, as Chase named her. Kloto, if you like a good Greek mythology pun. It's not entirely accurate, but while I was doing some weaving earlier in the week, I started listening to a new audiobook that I found sort of accidentally. I was looking for something else, and it is about the history of women in textiles, the first 20,000 years. So talking about, she very briefly touched on like all the different eras. So like, Paleolithic and Neolithic and iron and bronze, and I've already gotten them out of order, but basically just saying like when humans started to have tools and what form those tools took. Were they very basic stone tools? Were they smoothed down? Was metal involved? What kind of metal was it? And I mean, I was only like 45 minutes in. I didn't even realize I had not listened to that much because there was such a glut of instantaneous information. I felt sort of like immediately full to brimming with it and had to like take a break. I will make sure to list it in the description box below because I already highly recommend. We are 45 minutes in. I think we got past the preface and the introduction and we are in chapter 1. Can recommend. I also randomly decided that I was going to reread A Swiftly Tilting Planet by Madeline L'Engle. For those of you who don't know, one of my children is named Charles Wallace. And it is also partly a nod to her. I knew it's family names for us, but yes, my mom just clued in the other day. It was like, did you know? And I was like, oh yeah. Oh yeah, I knew. I originally read this book in 6th grade. For those of you who like math, that was in 1992. So I am rereading this book for the first time in 33 years. This is not my original copy. I had to find a different copy. My original copy was thicker and yellow, and you've probably seen them. He's already Charles. This is Charles Wallace as a teenager. In the original story, it is in A Wrinkle in Time. He's a child, and I can't find my copy of A Wind in the Door. I had started to read it and I set it down somewhere, and I don't know where it went. It's got to be somewhere. It's driving me crazy, but it's even skinnier than this. It has gotten lost in the wilds of my house somewhere. So I had to skip that one for now. And I'm reading. But anyway, 15-year-old Charles Wallace is already, at this far through the book, riding the unicorn. I love that for all of us. In other news, this is just the last little bit of like waffling. To catch you up on anything else that's going on in my life, there's not much at this point. Spring has sprung. It is beautiful. The leaves are leafing. Life is lovely. I want to be outside. You might have noticed I went golfing with my dad and my 2 adult children this week. It was lovely. I parred 2 holes of 18 and I picked up and gave up on at least 2 other holes. Well, I hit it in the water. I just was like, no, that's enough. And we went on to the next hole. People were behind us. We had lots of fun. There's about a month left of school before my little guy, the aforementioned Charles Wallace, is done with kindergarten. And we have to figure out what we want to do with him all summer. He's got a couple options. My sister's coming to town. I'm very excited about that. I finished my 100th book today. It's May. I only originally gave myself the goal of reading 150 books. If it was a hard limit and I could not go past 150, I would not be able to read anything after June, the way things are going, it seems. But it's not a hard limit. In fact, I might change the goal. 2 books a week would have been 104. So this is already more than that. What was I going to do? I was going to up it to 240 and see if I can hit my goal. Because going like a bajillion % over, it's sort of gratifying, but also sort of feels like cheating. I'm trying to give myself a goal that is a little bit of a stretch. I do occasionally include children's books. Not all the time, because otherwise you would see that I have to read things over and over and over again. And then it would be like 500. Because I have read Don't Let the Pigeons Stay Up Late so many times that I'm starting to recite it from rote memory by accident whenever somebody says something like, first of all. And then I will start to recite the book in the funny voice that I use for the pigeon until I run out of steam. I'm going to not do that right now. Although it's kind of hard. I think that's everything. I was originally going to talk to you about shopping my own stash so that you can see that I have plans for everything that's in my queue, but this is already over an hour. I'm going to cut some of it, but not much. And then next time, maybe, I'm going to talk to you about Shepherd's Harvest. What did I get? And I am apparently on a big time spinning and summer wardrobe kick, and I've been making socks like it's my job, and they just are flying off my needles. I didn't even know they could be. I just finished reading Knitter's Book of Socks by Clara Parks, which if you haven't read yet, I highly recommend. It's got a bunch of patterns at the end of it, which is fun. I'm going to make those. The reason that I mention it is that she started talking about why you use different kinds of heels, and I only ever thought about it from the question of like how it fits in my shoe and how I like knitting it. And instead she was talking about like which ones hold up more to wear and tear. I have not worn my socks enough. They're still precious babies to me because I don't have that many. And so that gave me some food for thought. And finally, I don't know if I showed you these, but I did spin the rainbow. Did we talk to you about that? I haven't gotten them off the bobbins yet. That's probably the next mission, is to bring them off the bobbins. I think they're going to stay as singles. It was recommended to me by some of my Discord friends. I am on the Great Stash Down Discord the most often. If you're not familiar with it, you can reach out to me. I believe it's still kind of open to anybody. It was something that Tashi from Stitches and Starlight and Marcelin from Hey Brownberry set up originally. And then Tashi kind of went and started like 4 more discards of her own. She's having a great time with that. And so this one has become something for other people. I don't know. I got in there pretty quickly and it has become kind of the main Discord that I haunt. If there is an internet place to hang out, that for me has become, because the people are lovely. The requirements are few. Right now we're all sharing our own bingo cards and having a good time with that. Okay, I'm going to try to stop Minnesota goodbying and just say goodbye to you, my friends. Thank you so much for watching. Do all the YouTube-y things, like, comment, subscribe, share, right? That's it. If you have a suggestion for a thing you would like me to talk about, I would love to hear it. Otherwise, I'm just having fun rambling at y'all, and I hope that you are having fun listening to my rambles. And that's it. Bye.